Welcome back here with Money, 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 and we are in conversation with Mr. Harsh Rungta, trying to understand the budget fine print, everything in the budget that goes beyond the EPF controversy and the NPS. So let's talk about the gold bond and the gold monetization schemes, Mr. Rungta, because we had a couple of announcements come through. I'll just quickly update viewers on this. Capital gains tax not to apply on redemption of sovereign gold bonds under the RBI's gold bond scheme. That was one announcement that came through. Then long-term capital gains arising on the transfer of sovereign gold bonds will get indexation benefits from now on. And interest earned and capital gains on deposit certificates, which I believe are being given under the gold monetization schemes, the government clarifies fully exempt from tax. Let's talk about the sovereign gold bond scheme first. Are these changes going to make it any more attractive?
On the sovereign gold bond, I think far more has been delivered than was promised. The capital gain exemption applies only to individuals if you redeem. The period is 8 years. You are allowed to redeem after 5 years. My reading is that even if you redeem after 5 years, the capital gains is exempt if you are an individual.
Okay.
For everybody else, and even for individuals, if they, because these are going to be listed on the stock exchange. In the stock exchange, if you sell or you transfer in any other manner, then you will get the indexation benefit provided you have held on to it for 3 years.
Why should someone look at sovereign gold bonds?
So if I want an exposure to gold, okay, then my choice is I can buy physical gold or I can invest in a sovereign gold bond.
Or a gold ETF.
Or a gold ETF, yes, same thing. But all that the gold ETF does is that instead of you buying the physical gold, the ETF buys the physical gold. The costs remain the same.
And what about the end taxation between the gold ETF and the gold bond? What is the more efficient instrument?
So obviously gold bond clearly will kill gold ETF because end taxation, if you wait the 8 years, then clearly for individuals at least, it's tax free. Plus you get interest. In an ETF you are incurring a cost. Here you're getting an interest of 2.77%.
In addition to the capital appreciation.
If at all, in gold.
If we assume that if gold will appreciate.
Yes. Plus you get 2.77, 2.75 compounded 6 monthly. It is taxable. So 2.77 minus the tax. But still, I mean, you getting paid something. Plus you taking the exposure to gold.
And what about gold ETFs? How does the taxation work there whenever you're redeeming your ETF units?
So you can get the indexation benefit obviously if you have held it for 3 years, but a cost has to be paid to the fund house. There is a cost and obviously there is no
interest component at all. So now coming to the gold monetization scheme, and this was widely seen as a bit of a non-starter. I mean, once it was announced, there was a lot of question about will Indians really part with their jewelry and decide to give it away. And now obviously it's been made very clear that there is no taxation, at all on the interest earned and the capital gains. So does the gold monetization scheme make any sense to you?
Gold monetization scheme makes a huge amount of sense actually, and if you think about it, think of households and people save up on gold. I'm not even talking investors. There are, I mean, households, not necessarily rich households, which would have 200, 300, 400 grams of gold, not exactly a small sum of money. This is typically kept so that when the children get married, that same gold can be recycled to do jewelry for the children, etc. Now think of it. You're not going to use the same jewelry, right? For that kind of thing, where there is no sentimental value attached to the jewelry, you don't need the same jewelry back. You just want to remain invested in gold. For that, gold monetization scheme works beautifully because you now give it over to the GMS, you give it into the GMS. Any appreciation from now on is completely tax free.
Right.
Okay. Plus again you get a tax free interest of 2.25% or 2.5% depending on whether you choose the medium term scheme or the long term scheme.
Right.
The interest is tax free as well. Okay, and capital gains is complete. I mean, there is not even a short-term capital gains.
Right.
I think one of the things that planners are going to be looking at is that does it make sense for you to buy gold and give it into the gold monetization scheme.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is one of the areas that will need to be examined going forward. Assuming the client wants exposure to gold,
Right.
it may make sense, the numbers need to be worked out. It may make sense actually to buy physical gold and give it into the gold monetization
Because of all
scheme
the incentives.
rather than buy a sovereign gold bond.
Okay.
It is
okay.
probably that attractive.
Okay, so that's all about the gold monetization and the gold bond schemes. We'll take a quick break on that note. On the other side, a lot of clauses in Finance Bill 2016-17 that could perhaps impact the high net worth individual. After the break.